Director of the Broward Charter Review Commission. What the heck is that? Have you ever heard of it? Lorenzo, have you heard of it? No? There's all these commissions and things that make our government work, and he's here to tell you about the commission, about what they do, but also about the ballot, so that you will know what to expect in November, and you can tell all your friends, and you can tell your parents and all your relatives what those ballot initiatives actually mean. Because we know that they were probably written by a lot of lawyers, right? And they're confusing. Okay? So we're going to look at that. I encourage you to give him your utmost attention. If you have questions, there'll be time for questions. He'll let you know. And then after the presentation, if we still have some classroom time left, we'll take some pictures. We'll do the whole, you know, have some fun, and we'll talk a little bit about how the ballot initiatives relate to what we talk about in class, which is definitely for sure. Okay? So, Mr. Verney? Sure. Thank you so much. We can clap. We can clap. Oh, and this is Ed. He's going to get the best pictures of us, so just so you know.
Well, thank you. Yes, my name is Verney. I'm the Executive Director of the Charter Review Commission, and I have with me
Evelyn Duplessis.
and she is the Assistant Executive Director. She is the third Assistant Executive Director. Total employees is now up to 5, including myself would be 6. So, I was appointed on February 8th, 2016. We have about less than 2 months to go before our contract is up with the county. So you might be asking yourself, what is the Charter Review Commission? Well, a lot of people are asking that question probably. And if, you know, and some more people will be asking that question when they fill out the ballot come November. The simplest form, we have 11 questions on the ballot. So, yeah, you guys all look like you're gone through high school, probably filled out multiple Scantrons in your life, right? I'm assuming so. A lot of circles, a lot of bubbling in. Yeah, so, well, get ready to do 11 of them from Broward County. And we're just going to go through the 11 questions, the questions that are actually here on the ballot, by title and by loosely by the language that will appear on the ballot. And then at the end, we'll do some questions, some Q&A. So you guys get to ask some questions. I'll try my best to answer some of those. And we'll provide you with as much information as possible so that you guys can all be informed voters. I am excited to tell you that as of 2 days ago, I believe, or maybe even yesterday, we have the order. I have it right here. This will be the order that the questions will appear on the ballot. Some of you may know this or may not know this. The Supervisor of Elections Office has had issues in the past with the order of candidates, questions, and how it appears on the ballot. They have said that it's usually consultants. I can assure you that I have verified it. Our General Counsel's office has verified it. The County Attorney's Office has verified it. So as far as we know, the order should be correct on the ballot. That's what we can tell you as of today. Whether that actually happens, I don't know. But take it from me. As the Executive Director of the Charter Review Commission, I am comfortable in telling you that there's been checklists, and we are, as of today, August 30th, I have the order right here, and it looks good. I don't know, because I sat in that chair for the past 2.5 years, and I kind of know what these 11 questions are and what they potentially could mean to all of you as Broward County residents. So I'm going to let Evelyn kind of start us off.
Well, I too am new at this, so this is my first go around. And what I'm going to do basically is just tell you a little bit about how it's stated. I'm going to read it to you how it's stated. And then just give you a short little explanation. And I'm going to do it the way I would see it if I was just reading it for the first time, with that kind of an explanation. Because sometimes these things get very detailed. And you're like, what does that really mean? Because the first time I read them all, I was like, what? Do I really even want to answer these questions? But they are important. And maybe this will help you a little bit to understand and to pass it on, when you talk to someone else about it. Okay. So the first one we have is standards for establishing county commission districts. Shall the Broward County Charter be amended to provide the county commission districts may not be drawn to favor or disfavor an incumbent or political party that districts, so small, that districts shall not be drawn to deny racial or language minorities the equal opportunity to participate in the political process and elect representatives of their choice, and to ensure that districts are contingent and as equal in population as feasible. Right? That's pretty, a lot of blah, blah, blah for the average person. What that all comes down to is, this is a simple, I stated it simply now. This is simply stating that districts shall not be gerrymandered to favor a party or candidate, that neighborhoods should be kept intact to allow citizens to elect a representative who best represents their district. Bang. That makes sense, doesn't it? What's it's saying basically is that you're not going to be gerrymandered, because many times in the past we have seen where districts are all kind of curvy and round, and they might just miss a district or a neighborhood that is attached to it. Now that doesn't make any sense. That your neighbor across the street that lives in the same kind of complex or same area is no longer in the same district. What they want to do now is to make sure that that's all connected, neighborhoods are together, and that people's voices can be heard. That it doesn't favor an incumbent, which we know has happened in the past in the state of Florida, or a party. All right? So the second one is also in relevance to that. I won't read the whole thing, but basically it says that redistricting procedures for county commission districts. Well, it says, shall the Broward County Charter be amended to require the county commission to redistrict following the 2020 census and every 10 years thereafter or sooner if necessary by engaging an accredited 4-year college or university in Florida which shall utilize a transparent process to identify and designate named single-member districts within the county and require the county commission to adopt a redistricting plan consistent with the charter and state and federal law. Bang. What does that mean? Simply, it means instead of letting the state decide or the commission decide, we're going to have someone independent. We're going to have a college do it, which, they're going to look at it non-biasedly. They're going to take the facts and they're going to make it simply and make sure that these districts are designed in a way that there is not a problem. There is no gerrymandering. Very simply put, isn't it? But if you read it, and the print is really tiny, okay? It's going to be really tiny when you see it, where most people are not going to even think about it or even like, what? It takes a minute to realize. Do you know how many questions are about this year? How many is there this year?
Let's see, there's 11 from us,
11.
And there are going to be probably 15 more from the state. So you're looking at a potential of total 26.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, yeah. So you get an idea of how long people are going to really take to answer these questions. That's why we're glad you're here, so you can understand them a little bit better, and that we're going to say it in a more simplified way. We can pass that on. So the first two relate to each other. One, that we should not have no more gerrymandering, districts will stay together, and two, we're going to have non-biased individuals, college, university, take care of that for us. So no longer will we have people who are just, in favor of their own party or district do that. Okay, those are the first two. Anything else to add?
No, I think that's great, Evelyn. So we're going to move on to the third one. I'm just going to randomly ask these questions. So how many of you slept into bed tonight or last night? All right, all of you kind of slept into bed. You guys all had a roof over your head?
Yes.
All right, okay. If you didn't, that's okay. Truth be told, earlier this year, I actually went out and did something called a point in time count for the county. Spoke to 5 homeless people in one night. Actually did that. That was quite an experience. So how that kind of is relevant? Well, we're talking about the legacy item here for the Charter Review Commission. This was proposed by a gentleman named Eugene Pettis, who was, I believe, the first African-American president of the Florida Bar. So that's Mr. Eugene Pettis. He is the at-large member representing Broward County as a whole. An attorney in his own right, distinguished gentleman, and he came up with really a lot of the language. Also, somebody I think you can also credit for this, and I'm just going to say this because I can say it because I'm the executive director. The chair of the Human Services and Public Safety Committee is one Bernadette Norris Weeks. Perfect attendance almost. Really, out of the 19 members, she really kind of was there most of the time. So these people kind of worked together in committees and they created this legacy item, which is, I'll read it to you. The Broward County Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And this is the language that'll appear when you actually guys get to fill out the ballot. Shall the Broward County Charter be amended to enact a new section 11.11 to establish the Broward County Affordable Housing Trust Fund to provide a definition of affordable housing and to provide for the purpose of the trust fund, the revenue source for the trust fund, the continuing nature of the trust fund, and for administration oversight of the trust fund. Now here's the important thing that we are legally required to do by the charter of Broward County, which is the Constitution of Broward County. And we have a financial impact statement. So this would be important for all of you because you guys are all taxpayers, or will be, or your parents are, or somebody is. So the financial impact statement here is, let me see if I can read it. Financial impact statement. It is estimated that the trust fund established by the amendment would not have any direct financial impact by itself. So that's important for a couple of reasons, in that there are several low-income folks who work in Broward County. We know this because they work in the service industries. And who are these folks? They're the folks who work at Burger King, McDonald's, hotels. They clean your beds, they flip your burgers, they're janitors. People who empty your waste baskets. These are real people. We know them. Probably some of you know them personally. You know what? I know them personally. So they have an opportunity with this trust fund. If you approve it, to have a trust fund. If you don't, then it doesn't happen. That's as simple as I can get. That's not advocacy, that's education. We as staff researched this, and truth be told, we looked at a county, Montgomery County, in Maryland. Yes. They had a 2-step process for this, and basically what this does, it just creates a lockbox. How many of you guys were around in 2001? You remember a guy who ran for president? Al Gore's talked about lockbox, and then the other guy said, I don't want the lockbox. And then that other guy got elected in a controversial fashion by the Supreme Court, 5-4. Well, this is essentially the same idea. It's taking a lockbox, but only it's a trust fund. And you put money into it for affordable housing. And you give that money for people who are below income, who flip your burgers, who clean your hotel rooms, and who literally empty the waste baskets. So that has the potential of doing that. Truth be told, Broward County, where we are right now, is the most cost-burdened county in the entire country, which means that if you have an income, 30% of it goes to your housing. You literally do not have a standard quality of living. Some of your parents know this, some of your friends know this, some of you will probably know this when you graduate. So, I know it. I work for the county, I have a decent salary, but I'm living it. So you're looking at the person who's living this. Because most of the people in Broward County, Miami-Dade and Palm Beach and the rest of the country are literally going through this right now. Because affordable housing is the number one, if not the number one, it's certainly top 3 issues in Broward County and probably the entire nation. So when Mr. Pettis, who was the first African American president of the Florida Bar, said that this is the legacy item, you can almost believe it, that it is the legacy item. You know what, Ellen, I think I'll let you kind of read the next one.
So, the next one is Broward County Office of Inspector General's discretion to commence an investigation. Shall the Broward County Charter be amended to give the Broward County Office of Inspector General discretion as opposed to a mandate to commence an investigation if good cause exists that an entity or person over whom the Inspector General has account authority has engaged in misconduct or gross mismanagement, which means, bottom line, he has the choice to investigate or not. It's not always mandated. Sometimes things always are not black and white, as we all know. Sometimes there are circumstances. And because he's in that position and he has the authority and he understands the process, he can now make that decision on his own without the added expense of charging, the citizens of Broward County to go through that. So that's a good thing. Not everything is always black and white. It doesn't always have to go one way just because it says. We should give our officials sometimes, give them the judgment call on that. So that is what that's about. What's that?
Yeah, that's exactly that. So you literally, and that's great, Evelyn, because you literally are going to have to answer a question out of 11 that actually changes one word in the county constitution. That is a shall to a may. So I'll say it, because I can. I'm the executive director. There was a committee called Ethics Subcommittee that met for the better part of almost 2 years. Had a laundry list of items from the Inspector General, who is charged with investigating elected officials and staff when they do stuff that may not be ethical, or mismanagement, or malfeasance, or other big words. Basically, people were not doing their job. And somebody was coming in to investigate and figuring out, hey, it's not personal, but what happened here? And let's try to fix it. That's really the purpose of the Inspector General's office. It's not to like, hey, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. And oh, by the way, we're taking you to jail. No, that's not it. It's really that to try to like fix problems that people just kind of overlook because they didn't have the right training or the right education or just simply forgot. It happens. I've seen it happen at high levels of government. People just forget sometimes. Or they didn't know, and you know what? Not knowing is not an excuse anymore. Gotta know. So this subcommittee for ethics met for 2.5 years, listened to the Inspector General's laundry list of things he wanted. This is a former federal prosecutor who's used to getting his own way. Literally got nothing. Got one question, changes a shall to a may, and it says, hey, listen, Mr. Inspector General, you have to investigate. We may now give you the opportunity to use your discretion. And that's all he got. So that's all what you signed for. So I'm going to read you another one that kind of is interesting. I find interesting. You guys might not find interesting. No, it's okay. Listen, these questions are boring. So, I like my job. but these questions are boring. So I'm going to read you the title, the next question. Broward County Planning Council revisions to zoning glossary and public hearings. Shall the Broward County Charter be amended to revise section 8.05 related to the operation of the Broward County Planning Council to provide that the Broward zoning glossary shall be contained within the county land use plan, and to further provide that the Broward County Planning Council shall hold no less than one public hearing prior to consideration of a proposed land use or land use plan or plan amendment? Yes or no? So, you know, when you build stuff, you kind of have to go through a process, right? Well, this is where you go. The county has a place where you go. And plans get reviewed, and this essentially makes it more streamlined version. Right now it's really cumbersome. You gotta go through like 2 public hearings. Attorneys get to bill by the hour, so they love it because two meetings, that's more hours to bill. That's great. This kind of streamlines the process for you. So if they're building something on this campus and they have to take it somewhere, you don't have to go through 2 public hearings, you would have to go through 1. If a city, let's say the city of Southwest Ranches, let's just pick a city, Southwest Ranches, is in dispute with the city of Pembroke Pines. I don't know if you guys live in those 2 cities, but I'm just picking 2 random cities. If they're in dispute because a building's really on the border, well, you take it to the county. So that's kind of what the planning council does. They resolve things for people and for cities sometimes, because cities are like entities, and you sometimes get into these conflicts. So this really just kind of streamlines the process and says that there's going to be shall hold no less than 1 public hearing. Just a technical kind of change in the Constitution that has a real significant impact in how things are built and created. So that's that question, and Evelyn, I think you can have the next one.
Okay, so Central Examining Board's appointment of alternate members. The Broward County Charter currently does not have a provision to the various central examining boards. Therefore, shall the Broward County Charter be amended to revise section 9.01 related to the operation of the central examining boards to provide that there shall be alternative members appointed to each of the central examining boards. Wow. That's kind of driving for me, okay, not in the process. So, to me, this says that there should be alternates. So, in case one member leaves, right, there'll be someone to step in this place.
What do they do? What is that? Central planning? Or do you know?
We do know. So I didn't know before this process started. So I was educated during the process, and so these are, you know what? I don't know. Anybody do any like home repairs in their homes, or seen their parents, or like any
like a kitchen remodel kind of thing?
It's like kitchen remodel.
All right.
So we'll use a kitchen remodel scenario, an example, because people do this all the time, right? It's hurricane season, by the way, too. So just a friendly reminder, it's hurricane season. So if somebody is doing a kitchen remodeling and they hire a contractor, which technically usually happens, and let's say this contractor, does a shoddy job, which tends to happen sometimes when people are rushed and whatever. But we don't know who this contractor is, by the way. This can be a random contractor. But if you're the homeowner, where do you go? Where do you go to get relief? Well, you can take it to the central examining boards, which can hear your case. But if they can't meet, then you have no resolution of your problem, right? If you solve a problem, you want to take it somewhere, and if they can't meet, well, they can't resolve your problem, and you're at a catch-22 because it's your problem. So that's essentially kind of what the central examining boards do. Engineers, construction trades. Anybody who's required to have a license for a skilled trade would go here and potentially could hear cases. They fly people from other states. So you actually be paid a lot of money to be an expert engineer and electrician. They fly you in, you sit down, probably lasts a couple hours, you fly out.
And you're determining whether that contractor did a shoddy job?
Correct.
Does the homeowner have to pay to go to the central planning?
I don't know that. I don't, there's probably some fees.
Probably cheaper than a lawsuit then.
It's probably cheaper than a lawsuit. I actually don't know if the homeowners have to pay. That's a good question. I should probably follow up on that. But yeah, I don't know, but that's kind of one example. And so there's plumbing, electricians, By the way, Broward has this, Miami-Dade has this. Don't know about Palm Beach, didn't look. But
So this initiative is saying that they need to meet more frequently. If you vote yes on what you just read, is that what that's saying?
it is providing so that alternate members right now, there are no alternate members.
Yeah.
So there are no.
So then they can meet, if they have alternate members, then they can meet more
Yes,
frequently, right?
because if they can't meet and because they don't have the bodies in there, then we need to
A
pull.
quorum, got
Right,
it.
like a quorum. So let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? 7. The majority would be what, 4?
Yeah.
Let's say 4 is the quorum, right? 7 people. You 4, you guys are at the beach right now, right? So we have 3 people, right? 3 people. Well, that's not a quorum because these people are at the beach having fun. You all 3, you're stuck in a meeting, wondering where these people are. You know where they are? At the beach. You're at the meeting. So we pull from you all. And you all can sit in these chairs and help these 3 people have their meeting while these people are at the beach.
And you would take their place in case one of them resigned, because you're the alternate.
So that's the Central Standing Boards. I will read the next one. That's the Board of Rules and Appeals. Quorum shall be the majority of the total board membership. So we're going into that quorum thing. You guys are still at the beach. You're actually here listening to us. So, yeah. So the question is, the current charter provides that a quorum of the Board of Rules and Appeals shall consist of 11 members of the Board of Rules and Appeals. Therefore, shall the charter be amended to revise section 9.02 related to the operation of the Board of Rules and Appeals to provide that a quorum of the Board of Rules and Appeals shall be a majority of the total membership of the Board of Rules and Appeals. I have to really kind of use my pronunciation here, membership. Yes or no? So that basically takes that whole quorum thing. And basically the way, if you look at the charter right now, which by the way, if you have cell phones, broward.org/charter, you can look it up as we speak. I don't mind if you do. Just kind of listen to my voice. So right now, if you look at the charter, there is this really high threshold for this board to meet. I think it's something like 13 and you need 11. I mean, that's literally only 2 people can go to the beach. And if 2 people go to the beach and they have 11, then they can meet. But this board is so important. Why? Because they're the entity that set the building codes for Broward County. And because something happened 26 years ago, which is, first of all, who was around 26 years ago? I was. I think I was 7. Well, 26 years ago, a storm by Hurricane Andrew smacked into the state of Florida. It really kind of changed everything. Changed the lives of these people who were in charge of creating the building codes for South Florida. Right? So these people met. They created the building codes. So the building codes that you see in homes in Miami-Dade, Broward, and maybe Palm Beach County, I'm not sure, are thanks to what happened 26 years ago. Those of us who were around 7 years ago, 26 years ago, saw things that, you know what, you probably don't want to see. Some of you kind of remember some of these things. If you were around for Katrina, you saw the images on TV, different. Katrina was kind of flooding. Miami-Dade was kind of just, like imagine this, and just like wind kind of goes like that. And then these are just pieces everywhere. So these people came up with the building codes to make homes sturdier. And what they were literally asked this by somebody who sat on the board, asked them, how can we make your lives easier? And they said, well, you can let us meet, because we can't meet right now because we have a high quorum threshold. Because most people, what are they doing? They're probably at the beach. So, if you vote yes, you can kind of make your lives easier. If no, then, you can't, and then, they can't really amend the building code. Also, they can't amend the fire code as well. So this board is really tasked with the building code and fire code for the county, mandated by the state. So that's the board of rules and appeals question. That's essentially it.
Okay. Posting of notices, agenda, and backup materials no later than 48 hours prior to meeting. Okay? Shall the charter be amended to provide that for all meetings subject to section 286.011 Florida statute, the county and municipality shall post notice, agendas, and backup materials on the county's or municipal websites as applicable at least 48 hours prior to the scheduled meeting or as soon as practical after development or receipt of the agenda materials, and in the event of an emergency meeting for the posting to occur as soon as possible? Practical? I can't do that. Bottom line is just, we need, or counties, municipalities, county needs and municipalities need to make sure that the notices get out to people and that it's done 48 hours prior to a meeting. It's more to make sure that it is done. Sometimes some of these smaller municipalities we were talking about don't always follow the rules. They go by their own rules. So no longer. We want to make sure that the public knows about it. It's on the website. We all are on the web these days. There can't be an excuse any longer. Just put it out there. Very simple, so the public knows about it, so they can go to the meeting if they desire. So people who are affected by the meetings can have some notice about it as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There are a couple cities that I reached out to. I'm one of these weird people that likes my job and actually likes to attend city commission meetings. But I talked to city clerks and I told them about this. Not exactly their favorite person right now. Because, you know what, they're looking at me and like, Carlos, you're giving us more work to do. I'm like, I probably am, but I'm not responsible. Other volunteers, which by the way, 12 years, actually, no, I shouldn't say that. 9 years from now, if you're still around, apply to be a member of the Charter Review Commission. You can put your own questions on the ballot.
So explain to them how that works as far as the Charter Review Commission. It's every however many years, and how long is it in process, and what do you go around the state, you go around the county, the Broward County Review Commission goes around the county.
Yeah, so, it used to be.
And do you get paid?
And do you get paid?
Do I get paid?
No, it being reviewed, do the charter people get paid going around?
They don't. They're Broward County volunteers.
And you have enough of those?
We
Enough
have-
people want to volunteer to do this?
Yes, we had, so the way that it worked was, so let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, right? 19. Let's say you guys are around 9 years from now, right? So what would happen was you put in your application to your county commission. They would select 2 people from the district. So 2 times, let's see if I can do the math. 2 times 9 is 18. Good. And then plus 1, 19, right? So if whoever wants to raise their hand first could be the imaginary 19 person. I don't see any hands, so I guess nobody wants to do that. So that's how it would work. I mean, that's how it did work. So people submitted their names into their county commissioners. They elected the 2 people. They got onto a board, and then Mr. Eugene Pettis was the at-large member. Wasn't the original one. That was a gentleman who is now a judge. He's Judge Jose Scared. Before he started this process, he was just an attorney. Now he's a judge. So, that's how the process works, and they grab 19 people, which could be you all in 9 years, and they sit around, and they put 11 questions on the ballot. And, every once in a while you find people like me. I don't know how they found me. Probably applied. Probably actually applied to volunteer on the board. Probably was rejected. Probably happened. And then I somehow became the executive director. all that stuff is true, you can kind of look it up on Google. Or you can just look at meetings that nobody watches. So yeah, that's kind of how the process works. And you guys all have an opportunity to do that in 9 years from now. But that's essentially how it works. 19 Broward County residents did get together since August of 2015 and came up with 11 questions. So flash forward to almost 3 years from now, you guys potentially have the opportunity to vote on these 11 questions. So that's essentially, in my case, how the process works. I'm going to read you the next question. I kind of like auditors. This kind of started when I kind of just started in a different city, and I put a question on the ballot. So we're going to come back to that at the end. I promise you we will. So I'm going to read you this one. Composition of the independent board that nominates the county auditor. Shall the Broward County Charter be amended to change the composition of the board nominating the county auditor by replacing the Florida Auditor General or designee, Broward Community College president or designee, Broward Community College, and representative of countywide business organization with the following new members or their designees: the president of the Florida Institute of Certified Public Accountants, president of the local college or university, and president of the Institute of Internal Auditors. So basically, that's kind of just replacing people that sit on a board to nominate the county auditor. Why is this important? The county actually went through a process of actually nominating and hiring a county auditor recently. That person actually exists. He sits in an office downtown. And what he does is he goes into different departments and verifies that people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, using the money the right way. And if they don't, then he's charged with kind of improving the system and keeping track of the money. So when they went through this process, they realized that, you know what? They realized a couple things. That some groups didn't actually submit names because they couldn't. They felt it was a conflict of interest. They also realized something else. Broward Community College, does it exist? That's actually a real question I'm asking. Does it exist? No, not in the name, right? Because we know that as Broward College, because that's where we're here. At least when I looked on my GPS, I typed in Broward College. That's where it came up. So they realized this. They actually discussed this. They actually said, you know what, Broward Community College doesn't exist. We should probably look at that. So I think they probably decided that the best way to fix that was president of a local college or university.
So that's all that's changing?
That's one of the things that's changing.
Okay.
Yeah, so, you know, these people got together and they really thought about those kind of stuff. Something as kind of simple as, like, you guys drive by the school, some of you guys would probably remember it used to be called UCC, now it's Broward College. So, you know, people do think about these things. All right, Evelyn, why don't you take the next one?
Composition of the Broward County Inspector General's Selection Oversight Committee. All right. Shall the Broward County Charter be amended to revise the composition of the Broward County Inspector General Selection Oversight Committee by replacing the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, or his or her designate, with an appointee of the Broward County Bar Association? Simple. Instead of it being, instead of having the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, now we can have someone local, appointee of the Broward County Bar Association. That's it.
And we're going to end this, the last and final question, 11, which just is going to be even simpler, I think. It's going to be a housekeeping amendment. So we're on this theme of housekeeping and housing and all this good stuff. So housekeeping amendment to delete ineffective or unnecessary language. Shall the Broward County Charter be amended to delete the following provisions of the Charter, section 11.08, entitled, now please listen to me here because I'm going to bring some things up that only a few people know. The Broward County Ethics Commission, which completed its charter responsibilities and is no longer in existence. So it's no longer in existence, so we're deleting that. If you vote yes. 11.06, if you vote no, then it stays in. So next one, section 11.06, entitled Broward County Environmental Quality Control Board, which is no longer in existence, but yet is, and this is me speaking, yet it is still in the charter, so that probably needs to go away. If you decide yes, if no, it stays in. And then finally, let me see, I'm trying to find my place, which is no longer in existence, in section 3.08 entitled, and here's the kicker, in section 3.08 entitled Department of Transportation, which is independently established by the Broward County Administrative Code. So it's in the code, you know, there's code, you can think of like code of conduct, and first day of school stuff, right? First day of school is usually boring, you get a student code of conduct, you're like, I haven't seen this before. Anyways, the administrative code is kind of the rules for the county. Department of Transportation is in there. It's also in the charter, and there's only like one sentence in there that says, the Department of Transportation is so prominent that it should get one sentence in the charter. It doesn't actually say that, but that's kind of the gist. There are attorneys that work for the county that literally called me and said, Carlos, are you putting this question on? Are you deleting the Department of Transportation? And what do you think I said? Does anybody want to take a guess? Of course not, right? Because transportation, we all kind of deal with it. And by the way, there is a bond question. There's a surtax question on the ballot about transportation. It's called
Is that the petty tax thing
the
again?
penny tax, yeah. So you'll see that. I'm not here to talk about that. Other people from the county will talk, hopefully, and you guys can all come after that. But I literally got asked this question by highly educated people who are attorneys. I am not an attorney. Went to your law school, not an attorney. But they asked me, are you deleting the Department of Transportation? I'm like, in a fantasy land, I would gladly do it so we don't have to deal with transportation. But unfortunately, in reality, there is a Department of Transportation, and transportation is a problem in this county, whether we want to realize it or not. So that doesn't do this. It doesn't eliminate the Department of Transportation. It just deletes that one sentence that says that Department of Transportation is so important that it deserves a one sentence in the Charter of the Constitution. But in reality, it's already in the administrative code. It already exists. So it's kind of like duplicative, redundant.
So by deleting it from the charter, it does nothing.
It does nothing. It has no effect.
It just changes. So essentially, you're asking voters to edit the charter.
Yeah.
And you have to ask voters to do that before you can just delete or cut and paste or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that, guys.
Yeah.
You're being asked to edit the charter. What is the charter?
The charter.
Do you know? What do you think? What does it sound like?
Sounds like a list and a whole bunch of words.
A whole bunch of words, that's for sure. What is it? It's like the Constitution for the county? Is that fair?
That is fair. That's fair. It's like the Constitution of the county. There is a federal Constitution, Madison.
You guys know all about that, right? Yeah.
So, so there is a state constitution. By the way, the state CRC Commission Review Committee, I think that's what it's called, has met. It will probably be the last time, in certainly probably my lifetime. Maybe not your lifetime, but certainly my lifetime. By the way, I'm old. So, I mean, as of a month ago, I'm like especially old. So it's the last time that the state CRC is meeting at the same time that the Broward County Charter Review Commission is meeting. So the state CRC meets every 20 years. We used to meet every 10 years, but now because, by the way, who voted in 2016? Okay, well, thank you. Thank you.
You guys didn't vote in 2016? Were you too young?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too young. Well, if you know anybody who voted in 2016, thank them for it. Because the people who voted in 2016, and if they voted yes for a certain question, you know what? I still have my job. If you guys would have voted no, I would be out of job right now.
And that's really the only reason I voted yes, is because I had met you by then. I was like, I gotta keep this job.
So
But that's put to the voters. That's important when we talk about democracy, guys. That we have the choice if we care to pay attention.
So those are the 11 questions, and those are the questions that will appear on the ballot. This is a historic election. You know, everybody says this, like historic election. Every 2 years, historic election. Every 4 years, historic election. But and I'm going to try to do my best here to kind of stay on message, and if I kind of stray a little bit, just bear with me. Because this is all part of the Charter Review Commission process. This is a historic election because all of you. And what I mean by that is something happened. Something happened on, do we know the date, by the way?
February 14th.
2018. Does anybody know where that happened? You can say the name of the school, that's okay. Yeah, Marguerite Stoneman Douglas High School. Out in Coral Springs. No, Parkland. Parkland. Well, on February 14, 2018, we were looking at, and by we I mean the Charter Review Commission, was looking at disposing of the most important and controversial question potentially facing all of you, which was elected mayor. Broward County doesn't have an elected mayor. Miami-Dade County does, strong mayor. Broward County does not have an elected mayor. Has an appointed mayor that rotates. So we were on that day disposing of it. I mean, this was contentious. This was going on for 2.5 years. People were telling me their agendas, and I had to kind of be as neutral as possible in giving the best policy advice to 19 Broward County residents. Which, by the way, 12 or 13 of them, highly distinguished attorneys in their own right. Not an attorney. I'm not an attorney. Went to your law school, not an attorney. So on that day, at I want to say precisely, but I'm going to probably say approximately around 2:20, something bad happened. You guys all know what happened because you grew up in this generation, right? Some people have said you guys are the generation that is doing this. Well, I sat in that seat. I heard from the March for Our Lives students. I cried. I recognized some of the people. I'm wearing this MSC Strong, and I'm wearing the county badge because I am a Marguerite Stoneman Douglas alum. Yes, I am. I graduated in 2004. I went to Florida State University, Florida Language University, for my Master's of Public Administration. Finished that during this process. You probably read of certain teachers in the newspaper. Those were my teachers. The AP government teacher was my AP government teacher. That building where something bad happened, I've actually been in the first floor of that building, judging high school debate. I volunteered for high school debate for the last 3 years. And by the way, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to volunteer again. I've seen the talent around Broward County with the students. You guys are all, and I say you guys all because the high school students and you guys all have the potential of making a difference. And I'm sorry that I'm getting emotional, but I've seen you guys. I've seen high school students. I believe that you guys all have the ability to make a difference. So I'm going to say this, and I'm going to kind of just go into Q&A. Because this is literally true. I went to a high school called Marguerite Stoneman Douglas that on the inside had something that we all know a wise man once said. It was, be the change you want to see in the world. Right? They drilled this idea into our head. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world. Some of those students who graduated from Marguerite Stoneman Douglas, like myself, went on to college, and you know what they did? They came back and are teaching at that school. And you know what? Some of those people that teach at Broward College, they didn't go to the school, they probably went to their own high schools. It's about education, folks. So, when somebody says that they graduated from a certain college, and they got their graduate degree from a certain college, and they say this, and I'm going to say this, and you're damn proud of your education, that means you all should be damn proud of your education. So don't forget that. We're at Broward College. And you literally can be the change that the March for Our Lives students want all of you to be, because you grew up in this generation. And I can't relate to that because not my experience. It's your experience. My experience was 7th grade. I was at Sawgrass Springs Middle in Columbine happened. That's my experience. But you all grew up in this generation. So I don't mean to say this to scare you. I mean to say this to empower you. You literally can all be the change you want to see in the world, because this Marjorie Douglas alum who marched in DC is literally telling you today, be the change you want to see in the world. So with that, we'll take some questions and I'll try to do my best to answer them.
Seriously.
So back to the kitchen remodelers and that board for the coding, how enforceable is their final word?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I guess you're asking if it goes strict, right? Are you asking that question, or?
Well, does it, if the contractor is ruled to be shoddy, what's the recourse? What's the consequence? Does the board can the board say, hey, go redo the work, or I mean?
Yeah, if they're able to meet, which one of the questions says alternate members, if they're able to meet, that's actually that's actually a potential resolution. That they would be instructed to provide relief, and by relief they need to fix the problem, right? So they fix the problem. You know, it's funny, and I'll share this because it kind of ties into the board rules and appeals. We had the most amount of people come out for strong mayor. That's what it was first kind of billed, and it was an elected mayor. But the Board of Rules and Appeal, the building code folks, the people who work in the building departments in cities, they came out in droves, because the Broward County volunteers, residents who sat on the Charter Review Commission were coming up with an idea to tinker with their ability to govern themselves. They didn't like that, right? These are people who may have or may have not gone to college but have a specialty, and they felt like their livelihoods were threatened. So they came out and they advocated, and it didn't go anywhere. That's what you do. Let's call it lobbying or whatever. It's just advocacy. So to go back to the question that was asked, potentially that could be a resource if this question goes strict. That people whose kitchens or bathrooms or whatever doesn't get properly installed, they can take it to a county agency and get resolution for that. So that's a good question. Does anybody have any more? I mean, we're here all day. Not all day.
I heard you say that there's no appointed mayor inside Broward County. Why is that? Because it seems like it's so chaotic inside the Broward County area of officials and politicians. Why is that? But Miami-Dade has one.
Okay, so I'm going to answer that question. I think you kind of want to get my opinion. Also, I'm going to give my opinion, and I'm going to answer factually the best that I can. And I'll start factually. Miami-Dade County used to not have an elected mayor or strong mayor whatsoever. And then they moved from a ceremonial mayor to an executive mayor to a strong mayor. That was the progression. No mayor, ceremonial, ribbon cuttings, all that stuff. Executive mayor, a little bit more power. They get to appoint people. And then strong mayor, they get to do a lot of stuff. Right? Miami-Dade County did that. Broward, the Constitution of Broward was established in 1974. Residents got together, crafted their own constitution, and then 2 years later actually codified that. They put it into writing. Broward is one of 20 statewide charters, so there's 20 constitutions out there. But Broward always kind of had this thing where they would just kind of rotate.
How many city Broward County commissioners are there?
There are 9. So that's fluctuated during the years.
8 of them are Democrats and 1 is a Republican. Is that
Correct.
right? Chip
Correct.
Republican. So they rotate for how long are their terms?
So that's a good question. The charter says that it's You know, potentially, it's a minimum of 1 year, but you could have 2 years.
That's it?
Yeah, it's a 1 year rotation, which happens every November. So in November of this year, there will be potentially a new mayor elected. It gets kind of tricky though, because politics and personalities get in the way, right? So some people literally will never get a chance to become mayor. Or
Like the one Republican. Think about it, guys. You have 9 county commissioners, and you've got 8 Democrats and 1 Republican, and they all vote on who's gonna be the next mayor. The Republican's not gonna get a turn. You get it? Yeah, makes sense, right? Why would they?
yes,
Do you get it, Lorenzo?
I get it, but I feel like it's like kind of unfair, like.
Kind of unfair?
Yeah.
So in other words, we're talking about indirect democracy taking another indirect form, because we're voting for the county commissioners, but then we're letting the county commissioners then choose the mayor. You see? And for whatever reason, Broward County has done that, and they did take the strong mayor, it sounds like, on February 14th, they took that strong mayor initiative out of there. It just got overshadowed.
Yeah, so I think this kind of answers the opinion side of the question. So yeah, on February 14th was the final date that they really kind of resolved it. Actually passed. It passed in the form that it passed 9-7. So 16 people showed up to vote, 9-7 vote. But because, this is the tricky part, you need a super majority, which that means 13 out of 19 members, to place an item on the ballot so that all you can vote. Well, you were 4 short. So 3 people didn't show up, and then 1 person didn't vote the way that people wanted it for strong mayor. The votes, if you are, by the way, the votes and the videos and everything else, Broward.org/charter, you can pull out your cell phones and literally look at Facebook and Twitter. So Facebook and Twitter, we're on there. I tweet almost every day. So Broward CRC is me. Devlin, if she wants to. It was other people at sometimes. Facebook is definitely me. I'm old, so I use Facebook. I don't have a Twitter account, but kind of know how to use a Twitter. And so that's kind of what happened. It was just kind of, I don't know, it's been kind of people just pushing for a strong mayor or an elected mayor, and it just doesn't go anywhere. I said to a gentleman who was the chair of the governance subcommittee, whose agenda was to actually create a strong mayor, and he said elected mayor. And there were others who wanted that. And I told them after the vote, I go, you got this as far as anybody else who's done it in the past. So, there's your consolation prize.
So because the mayor is not elected, is it more of a ceremonial role?
It is. So the Broward County mayor right now is a gentleman by the name of Quinton Beanberg, from Hollywood, mayor, librarian. So, you could be a librarian and you could grow up to be.
He's a school teacher too.
School teacher too, as well. Yes.
But he's the voice you hear at the Fort Lauderdale Airport. You guys been in Fort Lauderdale Airport?
Yes.
Say, welcome, I'm Mayor Beanberg. Blah, blah, blah. Right? Hear that? That's him. That's him. So it is more kind of the face of the county, if you will. Okay.
Right. So, that's kind of the factual answer to your question. The opinion one, I'll just kind of share my thoughts because I'm here with all you, and I'm going to share my thoughts for that 2 months. I don't know. Let me start there. I don't know why Broward County doesn't have an elected mayor. I applied to be a member, and I was asked that question. Hey, what's your personal belief about elected mayor for Broward County? And I said, you know what? I don't think Broward County should have an elected mayor. Miami-Dade County has one because they have a large unincorporated area. So area that's not under a city. Broward doesn't have a lot of that. So why do we need a elected mayor? During the process, truth be told, I kind of was swaying on the side of having an elected mayor, but I didn't get a chance to vote. And you guys won't get a chance either. So to go back to your question, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, because I didn't get asked. But you asked a question, and I answered factually, and I gave you my opinion. And
So really in Broward County, if you think about it, guys, the cities have more power in some ways, right? City of Pembroke Pines, City of Hollywood, City of Hollywood Beach, those folks have mayors. So you get to vote on those guys. But the county umbrella over all of the cities, it's a separate system. Does that make sense? So again, we're talking about levels of government, right?
Remember, we're in the center, neutral, remember, our political spectrum, right? Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much for explaining.